Hey guys, Roth and Chris here to talk about Game of Thrones, The Bear and the Maiden Fair. Biggest part of the episode, all in the title, but we're not there yet. Let's talk about Dany. She's getting a little dragon happy. Do you think she's getting a little arrogant?
She is the mother of dragons.
That's true. That title, by the way, if this could be an episode, if there is a theme for this episode, it's all about titles. That title was so awesome.
Oh yeah, breaker of bonds or breaker of chains.
Breaker of chains and mothers. Anything that ends in breaker of chains and mother of dragons, you
Amazing,
win.
amazing. No, she's not too big for her britches.
Okay.
She's the freaking mother of dragons. And here's the thing, she's got to amass an army, and she knew that, and she's systematically going about it. And she's doing it in such an up with people way, freeing all the slaves in the world and then making them, come onto her army. It's pretty awesome.
It's weird. I love Dany. She's my favorite character, and I love the up with people version. I'm a little Shae myself. Break those bonds, I say. But the only thing that concerns me just a little bit is that we don't know how big the dragons are going to get. We'll get more into that in a minute. But also, this guy says I have powerful enemies, and she doesn't even know who it is. I wish she would have done a little more research to know exactly who her enemy was before she sort of made her play.
Well, she didn't. I don't think she has completely made her play.
Powerful friends.
I don't know that she's completely made her play. I mean, she totally told the guy off and probably embarrassed him. But it's not like if they come back and they're like, oh well, he's got. I don't even know who would be on his side that would like deter her from doing that. But if they come back and are like, there's this really powerful ally, she's got dragons. She's got dragons.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, speaking of dragons, okay, there was the big confrontation with Tywin and Joffrey, which I think a lot of us were waiting for. And here's the funny thing. I was so happy to see him taken down a notch. But was he kind of right? He should be worried about this girl and her dragons.
I think he is kind of right. And Tywin was talking about how there were all the skulls in this chamber and how they were started off as huge and got really small. Like, as if to say, like, oh, it's just going to be a lizard at this point. But you know what? It's not. Those guys are already bigger than what he's talking about. And you saw some of that foreshadowing with the dragons. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, awesome to see Joffrey taken down.
Towering over him. What's up, son? So speaking of son, Jon Snow and Ygritte. Listen, this is the moment in that there was, of course, a lot of lovey-dovey and back to the you-know-nothing Jon Snow, which I love Ygritte, but stop saying that because he obviously knows many things already,
right.
Including how to use his tongue, according to you. But the moment for me was that he sort of broke, and he realized he had real feelings for her, and he told her, look, you're not gonna win, and here's why.
Right. And, I think that's a good moment, but it also kind of exposes him as like, hey, I'm still on this other team, and she calls him out for it, and then she makes out with him anyway.
Well, she knows he's on the other team, and but her thing is like them for each other, like screw the other teams, but fine, we're gonna die, but first we're gonna live, and I'm a wilding and I'm free, and that's a beautiful sort of idea, but how can it really play out in the end? Well,
also, she's kind of saying two different things. She's saying, yeah, I'm gonna attack the wall, but yeah, I'm living for you. It's like, what do you actually want? And he, I think, is actually now on her team. Like, he's gone against his vows. He's with her, he's trying to help her out. And I think he would take off with her in a second if that's what they decided to do.
Yeah, well, this is sort of the Cry Freedom episode.
Right.
Let's talk about the drama at King's Landing, to where people, again, are not free to make their own life choices.
Right.
This was really just more of playing out what happened last week, discussing what happened last week.
And what's interesting, it's like, you have Tyrion, he's talking to Shae, and Shae, I just don't think she understands her place in the class system of this world.
But why doesn't she? And that was very odd to me, because Shae seemed to be a little bit more savvy initially about this world, and then all of a sudden it's like, pretty woman in Westeros, Westeros, sorry. It's really, really funny to me that she doesn't seem to get it, and he's offering her what is in her position in the world, and she's saying no.
Well, I think what it is that she's actually developed real feelings for him and actually doesn't want to settle. But it's like, in this world, and I'm saying this isn't right, but in this world, she can't aspire to be more than she is at this point in time. Although, I do have to say, like, Melisandre has risen above being a slave, and certain people in her company have, have found more, that they have a bigger destiny as well.
Yeah, and I think, that, again, this is the Cry Freedom episode. It's all about rising above your birthplace. Right. Melisandre broke the news that you are King Robert's son. And all of a sudden, the world opens up. First of all, it was awesome to see those broken down ships in Blackwater Bay.
Yeah,
it was great to be reminded of that. But what's interesting to me is the blood of the king if you're Melisandre and he's got the blood of the king, that doesn't necessarily mean good things for you.
Right.
It may.
May or may not.
It
Yeah,
may
we'll
or
see.
may not.
Yeah, all I could think about was them sitting in Blackwater Bay. I was like, just go up there and take it. Just get rid of Joffrey. I basically just want to get rid of Joffrey.
We all want to get rid of Joffrey. Let's talk about, speaking of torture, I don't know who's tortured other than us having to deal with Joffrey, but poor Theon.
I don't know, poor Theon, he's done terrible things. Like, I seriously have no, like, actual sympathy for that guy. I do from before. Like, I felt like he struggled to find his place in the world, but then he went off and did all these horrible things to people.
No, I know, and it's the two children. It's the two children that he had killed that really gets me every time I start to sympathize with him. But at the same time, I mean, no matter how bad what you've done, he was already sort of repentant for it, and now he is preciousless. You know, I mean, this is endless torture. I mean, how? I don't know. At what point is it like you find parody? You're
I don't
done.
know. I mean, when he's dead, probably.
Okay. All right.
That's what I think.
Well, speaking of
don't kill children. How about that?
You're fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Don't let this guy rule the world. But you know who could
I'll
rule the world?
punish child killers, and who wants that?
Speaking of near child killers, Jaime. And let me ask you this, Mr. Tough and Mighty, and I have no forgiveness in my heart. How do you feel about Jaime now, who almost killed a child?
Jaime's awesome. He's redeemed himself, right?
Oh, so Jaime can redeem himself.
But he didn't kill a child.
But he didn't kill a child,
That's
but he
true.
tried to kill a child.
He did.
Look, I would have
His
to agree
intentions were
with
there,
you.
for sure.
This show, I think, has demonstrated its ability to sort of create a character arc with Jaime more than any other character, because we all love him now.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely somebody who's actually gone through transformation, and it's always good in any sort of fiction, in any sort of, you know, movie, TV show, whatever, to see somebody make a journey. And this guy's made a journey and then some. Like, he's like true to his desire to help the Starks at this point, because he made an oath. You know, you saw this like side of him in last episode. It's like, hey, and he reflected again in this episode. He's like, hey, I saved these people. I saved 500,000 people. Yeah,
I think that this was the character moment for him of the season, jumping in front of that bear, no plan. And I think his relationship with Brienne is the thing that really has redeemed Jaime for me at this point. And I think that watching him continue to grow is fascinating for all of us. Listen, I had to say this wasn't my favorite episode of the season. It was a lot of sort of setup and exposition. George R. R. Martin did write it. There was lots of things to love. Can't talk about all of them. Bran's continuing his journey and sort of his evolution into his powers. You know, Robb and his wife is pregnant.
He's having a baby.
He's having a baby. And Arya had the moment of the season for her. What is her god?
Death.
Death.
Gotta love it.
All right, thanks guys. Leave your comments below and we will see you next week.